It was just a two-roomed house with a toilet at the back, outside, of course, with a red stoop. That was the glory of the house at the time. And we competed with the neighbors about shining the stoop. It was the first thing you looked at when you got to a house, how clean the stoop was, and you could mirror yourself on the stoop, and mine was red.
You always had grannies or parents sitting on the stoop and watching everything happening in the street as kids walked by. So you were very conscious of walking past any house with, oh Lord, I'm either going to be sent or something, but neither could you misbehave. You couldn't walk past with a boy or whatever if anybody is sitting on the stoop. So the monitoring mechanism that stoop provided for elders and the respect that us as young people had for the stoop, it wasn't just an average shiny, it represented, okay, the cleanliness of the home. And how much of a chobolo your mother is, whatever, like how she rules with an iron fist in terms of the cleanliness and so on. So there was this healthy competition, like with these yards, like the stoop, what it looks like, and the garden, if it's been watered, or if you've swept, like first thing in the morning and watered like that, you know, put the water out. But beyond that gloss was also what it represented, because, you know, and the way...
It was the only conference room.
Yeah, in a sense, yes.
No halls where we could socialize. It was really a conference room.
A beauty about suffering is that you're forced to be creative. You're forced to use limited resources to have a complete experience.
To be creative,
yeah, like, so the games we'd play in the streets. Like, what was that one, like, where we'd be, like, a whole lot of kids on this side of the street and a whole lot of this side. Then these would come and say, Bantwana, you know, it was so rich, you know, like playing those games like in the street and whatever. But the interesting thing is that at about 3 o'clock, then the street is almost clear, because now you go home to make fire. Back to that Dover stuff. Yeah. You have to go and make fire
and cook
and put the pots on the stove
and cook.
So that she comes just to come and dish up. But it was literally a pattern in every household that's what would happen. 3 o'clock, no more games. Everybody's like indoors, like just, you know, mom's on the way home, or, you know.
No, I planted all those
peach trees, the apricot.
But we'd always, trees from next door were always sweeter
than our own.
So every child from the Kasi knows you'd get up, you'd climb this tree and would from next door, whatever, or walk past somebody's yard and you take from there. But we had everything. We even had a fig tree at the
back. Yes, we had a fig
tree. There was a peach tree.
And the apricots.
The apricot tree that were very sweet.
Yeah.
That was like near the coal box there.
And I think the neighborhood kids used to come and steal our peaches. Yeah, a lot.
I canned most of those.
Yes, Mommy
peaches.
canned a lot. I remember when we had the kitchen when they put the cabinets up, and Mommy used to put the
bottles.
No. I would can about 20 of them.
Yeah.
And that was the pride of a home. That tree at the corner, that's lying like this, that is a sacred tree. That's where their umbilical cords are. All of them, all the children, including my grandchildren, those that were born here. We bury it's our tradition, we bury the cord. Grandchildren, great-grandchildren, the umbilical cord comes there because we believe that's where their ancestors are, because that's where we lived, and that is where their grandparents used to come and visit.
For me, the house had a lot of happy memories as a kid, but also I remember finding men, very tall men, big white men, standing as I was asleep. You know, I'd wake up and I'd see these men in the house. And I still remember just looking at the shoes, knowing that these are security police, you know, the boots. Police boots are very distinct. And just having a fear of them always taking my mother away, always taking mommy away. And I was just, you know, and I missed my mother dreadfully. You know, I really missed her dreadfully every time we went away. I didn't understand why we were always going to this aunt or this uncle. It should have been a happy occasion, but for me it was very, very upsetting because I missed mommy very much. My dad, I really didn't know much about him. There were pictures of him in the house, so I couldn't really relate to him. I was told that this man is my father. I have very vague memories of him.
I remember the day she went to see her father, Zinzi came back and say, I saw my father. My father is tall, he's got long arms, he's handsome, and it was like describing somebody who's not even part of her.
Yeah, she was 14 years, but she was big at the time.
Yes.
So
Wasn't she 16
I managed,
when she
No, I was 15. I cheated. Because legally I was supposed to be 16 when I first saw him, so I cheated and I went at the age of 15.
Yeah.
And they didn't even notice.
Yeah, right.
I remember waking up, sometimes at night, I must have been about 10 or 11, and I'd hear these very hushed tones. And you'd walk from the bedroom into the kitchen, and the house was always in darkness.
Yeah.
Always in darkness. But you'd hear these voices.
the boys that were underground, they got all their food there at home. So I would cook. That's where the cooking of a lot and lots of food comes from. That's what my daughters do to this day. Because from time immemorial, we would cook as if we were cooking for a wedding, because these boys were unable to go to their homes, and they were underground, and they were planning that revolution. And what would happen is they would come and fetch their food at night. You always remind me of the day they actually, I was still about to dish up for them, and then of course there were knocks all over around the house. And they just took the meat.
There was one person in particular, Machakata Mukwena, who's now an economist.
Put the food.
And he did that, he put the chicken curry and put it in his pocket. And they were sleeping up the mountain in those days. Yeah.
And how they would leap over that wall at the back, and it was so high.
Yeah, the wall was so high.
And then you remember at some stage where for security we were taught that they've got listening devices.
Yeah.
So whenever we talk, we must put on music very loud.
Very loud, yeah.
Or open the water, open the tap, because that would like interfere.
And I mean, you would know when you come back home, you know, that something is not right, something's been moved.
Yeah.
You haven't left stuff where you had left it before. So you knew that you were constantly under surveillance, and they were constantly in the house.
And they actually had duplicates of the house keys. That I still don't know how.
No, but I mean, they worked day and night. You could just tell.
It was really an extension of a police station. It was a police station.
When you think of the history of the family, the history of the home, and you think of heritage sites, of course it is a heritage site, you know, but nobody actually prepared us for that. It said, sit down now, one day, this is what the expectations should be from your life. This is what it will mean being like first family. These are the sacrifices you might have to make. This is what might have to change, and so on, you know.
To let other people into your space, it's a very emotional issue for me. But at the same time, I do understand I am a Mandela. Both my parents are who they are, and there are other people out there who would love to share in my joy, my sadness, my experiences of the home.
But I think what is very important, not just for us, first of all, our stories have to be told. It's therapeutic. It's a very healing process to talk about your experiences. And secondly, our stories have to be documented. Because where we have failed to talk to our children, at least this type of project helps to articulate for us, because it's still difficult for us to talk to our kids sometimes about things that we went through, whether it was when you were tortured or whether it was like a particular experience of vulnerability, of abuse and so on. It's still quite difficult. So this helps you to document. And I think it's the most beautiful gift that this family can give.